YouTube, what is up? James, MTG Biggie here, and I apologize ahead of time once again for my voice, and if I cough a bit during this video. I am attempting very hard to get over another cold. Sometimes it's tough when you work as a tattoo artist in close quarters with other people, customers are tattooing. You usually have to get pretty close to them physically, and so colds and stuff like that happen, and I'm trying to get over the second one I've had in like a month and a half, 2 months. It's a huge pain, but that is part of the reason I have kind of been absent lately and have not been around of late. So I thought, since I couldn't go ahead and go on with my plan of making a full set review of Dominaria, because by the time I'm able to catch my voice and record all those videos, the kind of ship has sailed on those videos for now. Everybody else has reviews. They're going to be great quality. Magic Mike's did one. I'm sure LSV and Marshall Sutcliffe are doing one for limited resources, stuff like that. There are reviews out there. What I thought I would do instead, and as a little apology to all of you guys, is make a standard deck tech for Dominaria Standard. And I've brewed around with some of the new cards. I put together a couple random builds that were very Dominaria centric, that were brand new decks that we haven't had around in the previous Standard. And they were fun, and it was a blast. But this is a deck I feel can be more competitive, that you could put together and take to a decent sized tournament and do pretty well. It's a deck that has been around before Dominaria, and I think it gets some upgrades because of Dominaria. There's some powerful cards that slot really well into this deck, and the deck I'm talking about was the blue-white auras deck. Some call it standard boggles. The idea of this deck is you get a creature and you start piling auras on top of it and suiting it up and attacking for large chunks of damage with very small mana cost creatures and auras. Well, with a couple new Dominaria cards, we had to add a new color, so this is Jeskai auras. Also very notable, $68 for a full standard deck that I feel is pretty competitive. This is going to look a lot like the list that were around before. We just have to touch red a little bit, and I think the benefit that we get is huge for this. So we'll go over the mana base. We're on 6 plains, 6 islands, a couple Irrigated Farmlands, a couple Shefet Dunes, and then our red lands are 2 Inspiring Vantage, 2 Spirebluff Canal, then we have 1 each of Clifftop Retreat and Sulfur Falls. We now get these lands in Standard, which is super nice to have. Great mana fixing in Jeskai colors. So that's the mana. And those who have seen this deck before know that Sacred Cat and Adorned Pouncer and Sram is a big part of why you play it. But we have a new creature in Dominaria, Champion of the Flame. And this is why we are in red. It is a 2 mana, 1/1 with Trample. And it gets +2/+2 for every piece of equipment or every aura attached to it. So this is the new premier 2-drop. We're still on Adanto Vanguard, wherever he is, somewhere around here. Yeah. We trimmed down to 3 Vanguards because this guy is an absolute beating. It just gets huge, and it tramples. So even if we don't have an aura that enables flying on this creature and makes it evasive and not blockable for most decks, it could just trample over your opponent's creatures on the ground. In addition to that, we have a couple other creatures that we are playing in this deck. The 1-drop 2/1 flyer from, I think, Rivals, that if you have the City's Blessing, gets flying. was fine in this deck, but we were playing Dauntless Bodyguard. This is a 2-mana 2/1, just the same as the last one. But when it enters the battlefield, you choose another creature you control, and then you could sacrifice this guy to give the other creature indestructible until the end of turn. So if we are putting all of our auras onto a Sacred Cat or a Pouncer or are a Champion of the Flame, which is really the guy we want, or the Adanto Vanguard, and we play one of these, we get to protect this creature from Fatal Push, from Lightning Strike, from any removal that would take it out of the game for the most part, except for exile effects. But still very, very good. So this is a guy that we could play on turn 1. He could be aggressive, he could attack and get in for some points of damage. We could even start suiting him up as a backup plan. Or we get this card late in the game, and we already have a guy that we're suiting up, and we just get to protect him and finish the job. I think this is a better 1-drop for our deck. So we're on 3 of them. The other 1-drop is Sacred Cat. We're on 3 of them also. And then we have a, I believe we're on 2 of, sorry, a reprint. This is Tragic Poet. It is our 3rd 1-drop of the deck. And it's just a 1-mana 1/1, but you can tap and sacrifice it to return an enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. This prevents a little bit of the getting blown out by removal aspect of the decks that go in on auras, like all in on auras, to try to suit up one giant monster. So if we go to cast a Cartouche or something on one of our guys, and they remove it, they Fatal Push it, whatever the case may be, it's okay because we could get it back later in the game with Tragic Poet. If we run out of gas and don't draw into any auras and we just have a dude, this allows us to go grab an aura. Once we draw this, we can play it. If it lives a turn, we get to go get another aura and start over again, suiting up our guy. Then we are on to our 2-drops. Of course, the Champion of the Flame, which is the reason to be in red. Adorned Pouncer, which is a big port over from the old deck. This guy is great as well. Adanto Vanguard is the very hard to kill 2-drop that was from the old deck before. And then Sram. We've trimmed Sram to a 3 of. This is generally like the best 2-drop in the deck that you're not suiting up, because it allows your engine to kind of go off once you start playing auras and drawing cards and stuff and building up a handful of auras to stack onto a creature. Sram's very important, but as a 4 of, there's times where this guy gets stuck in your hand and stuff like that, and I wanted to trim one spot for another creature from Dominaria, and it is Danitha, Capashen, Paragon. It's a 3-mana 2/2, which isn't an incredible body, but it does have First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink all packed onto it, so it's a fine creature to start dumping auras onto itself, and it just makes all of your auras and equipment 1 less. We don't have any equipment, but our auras cost 1 less. So now our cartouches cost 1 mana, which everything else basically costs 1 mana, but having that for 1 mana helps out. And then Squire's Devotion, the 1 of we're playing in the main deck, and the couple in the sideboard now cost 2 instead of 3. So it just further lowers the curve, and it's a decent body to suit up itself, where Sram is a worse body but draws us cards. So we're trying it out as a 1 of. I think it's fine. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's worth testing and worth playing with. And then we have the package of auras. We're on Curious Obsession, 3 of Cartouche of Solidarity, 3 of Cartouche of Knowledge, and we trimmed these to 3 ofs to fit 3 of Arcane Flight. This is a new aura from Dominaria. It's 1 mana, target or enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has flying. So it does the same thing as the Cartouche for 1 mana instead of 2, which I think is very good. I think the lower to the ground we can be and the more auras we can cast in 1 turn, the faster our deck is, the bigger we could stack up onto a giant monster and win the game. And then the final cards in the main deck are just a pair of Spell Pierce, just to try to protect us from removal. That is very important. In addition to the Dauntless Bodyguards, we're going to try to kind of protect our biggest dude. Excuse me. So that is our main deck. So far, it's been very good. It plays just like the old deck. It just gets a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, and I think that's important. So, onto our sideboard. It's pretty stock. Honestly, I haven't really got into adjusting the sideboard for a brand new meta, because it's hard to do that until you see the brand new meta. So we kept a stock list, a couple Silent Gravestone, a couple Squire's Devotion, a few Negates, our third Spell Pierce, a set of Thopter Arrest to take down any problematic artifacts and creatures, one Fragmentize, and we cut one of the two Fragmentize for an Abrade as a more flexible spell now that we have red mana to cast it. And then your one of Solemnity. To be honest, I don't think this card's that great, but it is a card that can help out in certain matchups and is relevant some of the time in Standard. This could very easily be second Abrade, could be the fourth Spell Pierce, could be literally anything else. But for now, that's where we're at. We're going to wait until the meta shakes out and we can see what we have to work with and what we're fighting. This deck is very sweet. I like it a lot. Those who don't know, Jeskai is my favorite combination of colors in Magic. I was a huge fan of Jeskai deck in Con Standard. White, red, and blue separately are my three favorite colors. Probably not in that order, but I like Jeskai. I like the big aggressive boost that the new cards give our deck. And I think this is the real deal. It's a good deck. It's a lot of fun to play. And for $68, I think I'm going to piece it together in paper myself. I was going to before the new set came out, and I never got around to it. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up the pieces and throw it together, dig through my commons and uncommons, and put together a really good budget Standard deck that has real, actual, like, Standard implications if you want to be competitive. So that's it, guys. Jeskai Auras. Let me know what you guys think and how you feel about the new cards in it and how you feel Dominaria will affect the new Standard. I look very forward to it. I think Standard is a very exciting format right now, especially with the prospect of all these new cards coming in. I think the meta is going to change pretty drastically. It may spell bad news for my Drakehaven deck, but we have Jeskai Auras to fall back on. So either way, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button. And if you have hit the subscribe button but haven't yet, hit that bell notification down below. That is the only way you're going to be notified of when I put a new video up, so you don't have to manually come back and check for yourself. Hit that below and let me know what you think. Also follow me on Twitter at MTGBiggie, and I look forward to hearing from all of you guys again soon.